Thank you so much, Brian Harris and the New Thought Messengers. Oh, we are so blessed. Good morning. Welcome to New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. I'm practitioner Shelley Walker. It's so good to have you here today. Hey, listen, for those of you online, good morning, good afternoon. Let us know where you are in the world. We'd love to hear. And thank you to Annette, our online video, our VJ for the day. Thank you, Annette. Hey, and listen. We have this beautiful screen with all our song lyrics on it. If for some reason you can't see that screen, or if you're at home and you can't see the screen, all the lyrics are in the palm of your hand on your cell phone. Just go to our homepage of our website, click on the button that says Song Lyrics for Sunday, and everything that you need to know is right there on that page. So feel free to access that. Hey, Brian.
Yeah,
let's get some singing on.
Sounds
Let's
good.
go.
God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God, your mind is divine in the garden of your soul. Plan love, faith, and happiness, and witness what unfolds. The beauty of creation reflected in your eyes. You serve in heaven here on earth. You live in paradise. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God, come on, Adrian. God is all there is. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God, let's do it one more time. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God is all there is. God is all there is in the beginning. God. We're so happy to have with us today Miss Arietta Ward. Yeah, so good to be back. The Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Don't need any party, don't need any love. Gonna sing with all my heart. God is my all in all. Lay down my burden. Loving God has made me free. I'm blinded by the Spirit. Oh Lord, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, thought it was my duty, thought it was my job. Somewhere I believed loving God would be hard. Loving God is wonderful. Loving God is ecstasy. Thank God for my freedom. Oh, I'm here to tell you that the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, 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 the Spirit of God is upon me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brian Harris. Thank you, Arietta Ward. Oh, y'all, it's such a good day to be in spiritual community. I want to tell you that Reverend Shannon sends you her big love, and we have such a special service planned for you today. We want to take a moment to honor the land on which we have built this spiritual community, which originally belonged to the Kalapuya people. We honor the people, we honor the land. If there's anyone who is here with us for the very first time, we have a lovely welcome table over here with some information for you. There's a welcome packet there. And we just want you to know, whether you're here with us in person or online, you've stepped into a community that is inclusive, progressive, and compassionate. We honor all people, and we've made a special place here for you. So you are welcome. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, you're welcome here. So thank you for joining us today. And you might remember today's a very special day for many of us. It's Father's Day. So if you identify as a father, if you have filled the role of a father in anyone's life, that could be by step parenting, that could be grandparenting, that could be mentoring, that could be step mothering. Sometimes looks like fathering. If you identify as a father, would you please stand and let us love you for a moment? Thank you so much. Thank you for the work you have done in that role. I also just want to mention that we have a father here who's a staff member who gets here at 5:30 in the morning on Sundays to prepare the space for you. That's our own Rand back in the sound booth. Thank you, Rand. And we also have some really special dads who have been here since early, volunteering in this spiritual community to make this happen. Michael Walker, Michael Murphy, Ben Price with our teens today. Happy Father's Day to you. Doug, what would we do without Doug? So thank you. All right, I'm going to invite Sarah Forbes up to ground us in a time of prayer.
Thank you, Shelley. Good morning, everyone. So this is our time for prayer, and if you feel comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes or do whatever you do to turn your attention inward. And as I take a breath into this moment, it's so clear to me that the one power, the one presence, the one love of God, of source, of light, is ever present, moving through all spaces, all things. I know that the many colors we see, the many shapes we see, the variety of all of life is God unfolding. And so I know that right here, right now, we are experiencing that divinity together. And when we experience divinity together in awareness, something beautiful and something powerful happens. Our own vibration rises up, each one of us here, into that awareness of the truth of our being, which is the power, which is the love, which is the beauty, which is the light of God. And I am so grateful, so very grateful to know that this service is an expression of God. From the music to the words to all that unfolds. And I rest in that gratitude for the many hands it takes to bring us this experience now. In deep appreciation, in my heart, in my being, I let our time go into that presence, into that light, into that grace. I surrender it now, and I let it be, I let it go. Blessed be, and so it is.
Thank you so much, practitioner Sarah. Hey, this is our time for our teens to go do their thing. We send you with so many blessings. That'll be fun. And this is our time for our meditation. So I invite you to take a breath. I invite you to center into that place within you that knows that it knows that it knows that there is a presence of love everywhere. And right where you are, love, divine love, perfect love resides.
Trust love. Trust love. Trust God. The love is everywhere. And we are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word. Trust love. Trust God. Trust God. The love is everywhere. And we are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word. And no one ever loses when one trusts love. For love is something that will not ever fade. Love is the essence of the Spirit that is known by always giving. Love always sees the truth beyond the appearance that is showing. Love judges not, and love renews. Yes, love renews. Love is a healer, yes it is. Love loves to love. Love loves to love. We'll keep on being love. We'll keep on being love. This is its holy way. So trust love. Trust love. Trust God. The love is everywhere. And we are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word. never loses. When one trusts love, for love is something that will not ever fail. Love is the essence of the Spirit that is known by always giving. Love always sees the truth beyond the appearance that is showing. Love judges not, and love renews. Yes, love renews. Love is a healer, yes it is. Love loves to love. Love loves to love, and we'll keep on being love. Keep on being love. This is its holy way. So trust love, lean on love, trust God. The love is everywhere, and we are here to be perfect givers of love and receivers of love. And love will have the final word. Yes, love will have the final word. And so it is. Well, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce our featured artist this morning. She is Portland's first daughter of soul, being the eldest daughter of Janice Scroggins. And we are so pleased to have her with us. Please give a warm welcome to Arietta Ward. You can find her at Ms. with a Z, MZ, MsEdda'sWorld.com. Find her gigs that are popping up, and you have a record that came out not too long ago that is available there. Is that not true?
Well, it is available. The physical copies are available. You just have to message the little dilly, because the whole website thing has been tripping. So, but it's available on digital platforms as well. Just look up Arietta. It's named after me. And I just want to say real quick, that was beautiful. I was in like fangirl mode. I know we are worshiping, but I've known him forever, and he's a vessel and he's a light, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you, and I love you. I've seen him in like forever, so I wanted to say that before I began. And now I'm back. Thank you. Thought that there was more as I walked out the door, sat out on the path unwinding, aiming for the stars, but I wound up in the dark. Didn't know this road would be lonely. Where do I go from here? And what do I have to show for all of these wasted years? And I don't think I take no more. I need to lay these burdens down. I've been wondering for too long now. Tired of living this life on my own. I tried it all just to come back home. Come back home. Come back home. come back home. Wanna take a step up to the open road, but all I fear is fear and winding. Turn back around, I wanted to be found, but all the questions they keep me guessing. Where do I go from here? And what do I have to show for all of these wasted years? And I don't think I can take anymore. I need to lay these burdens down. I've been wondering for too long now. Tired of living this life on my own. I've tried it all just to come back home. Come back home. I'm turning on just to come back home. I need to lay these burdens down. I've been wondering for too long now. Tired of living this life on my own. I'm turning on just to come back home.
Ariette Award. Ariette Award. Brian Harris and the New Thought Messengers. Welcome home. All right. I'd like to welcome a very special guest speaker today. For 3 more weeks. Reverend Masando Hiraoka received his bachelor's degree in religious studies from the University of Colorado Boulder in 2004 and was introduced to his formal meditation practice during his travels abroad to India through Naropa University's Buddhist Studies program. He has an incredible monthly column in the Art of Being Human in the Science of Mind magazine, and is currently serving as the chair of CSL's Spiritually Motivated Social Engagement Committee, and is currently an associate minister at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, and he's in charge of the Social Uplift Ministry. Y'all, soon he's going to be the associate minister right here at New Thought Center for Spiritual Living. And so we are so thrilled to be able to welcome him today. Reverend Masando Hiraoka, lay one on us, brother.
What is up, everybody? It's so good to be back here with you all. Rebecca and I got to stay in the parsonage house. This is our new backyard, and it's just been so amazing just to be in this space. And what a delight to be here when Ariette Ward is here. It just felt like we're in the presence of royalty in some way. Thank you so much. That was incredible. But yeah, we have been, we're going to be here in 3 weeks, y'all. 3 weeks. So we're right in the middle of the whirlwind of packing and checking off all the to-dos. And I have to say, it was nice just to get a break from that. And come here and just be present in the space, walk around this ridiculously beautiful neighborhood, spend some time in Portland. I gotta tell you, I can't wait to join you. So it's so good to be here. And it feels like this weekend that we arrived, it's like this convergence of many different holidays, right? Like we got the summer solstice tomorrow, which is coming in hot. Coming in real hot. I can't imagine it's normally this hot up in the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, it's just an excuse to go get in a swimming pool or something and go swim in the lake. So yes, summertime is here. And just yesterday was the first federally recognized Juneteenth national holiday. So glad that this is happening in our country. It's a beautifully historic time to be alive. This holiday that commemorates that day of June 19th, 1865, in Galveston, Texas, when 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, 2.5 years, y'all, finally word got to Texas So it was truly the end. Yeah, Texas can be a little late to the game sometimes. Finally, word got to Texas. So this really has been a holiday that, I think has been celebrated in Texas. But now it's coming to the rest of the country. And when you think about it, it makes sense. Like, let's be real. We've had two international days or national days of freedom in this country, right? The 4th of July, 1776, there are hundreds of thousands of descendants from the continent of Africa that were still not free, right? So now there's this beautiful acknowledgement of that. And so we get to celebrate both of those now as a country. And I know, too, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this later, right, that this is a beautiful gesture, and it's a great start, and it will bring us undoubtedly more awareness of our own country's history. But I hope, my sincere hope, right, is that it's just the beginning, right, that it really leads us to more of the systemic change, really acknowledging the ways that the legacy of slavery continues on to this day, that we can all be a part of the healing that is just being called out right now. Like, we are all calling for this healing. We all get to be a part of that. So what a beautiful time to be alive, to be able to be a part of this healing. So that holiday is happening. And of course, Father's Day, we got to acknowledge the fathers. Shout out to my dad, who I think is tuning in today. I love you. I probably don't get to say that enough, but I love you, Dad. But I also realize, right, like these Hallmark holidays, they can be complicated as well. They can be complicated as well. And so, there's this Universalist Unitarian minister who acknowledges this really, really beautifully. So I just want to read his words because I think he just captures it. So he says, on this Father's Day, we recognize the vast spectrum of experience and often complicated feelings that surround such a celebration. We honor those fathers and father figures in our lives who have loved, supported, encouraged, and instructed us. And we seek to share these gifts with others. And we mourn with those who mourn the loss of a father, and fathers who mourn the loss of a child, whether separated by death or estrangement. We support those for whom this day brings pain and sorrow, who suffered abandonment, neglect, or abuse. And we support and celebrate the fathers in our midst who give of themselves to their children, recognizing all the strength and wisdom and stamina and love and time and honest introspection that fatherhood requires. We support those men who choose not to have children, yet who are present in loving and supportive ways to children, youth, and adults alike. And we seek to honor wherever we find ourselves today across this vast spectrum of experience, and to feel the compassion that embraces us within this silent acknowledgement. So thank you all for wherever you're at on this day, just being a part of that and a part of supporting everybody as we come to this day. So not only that, I got to give out a shout out to my sister, whose birthday is today. She's definitely not tuning in because she's turning 27 and she happens to be in Vegas right now. So I imagine she's maybe still sleeping. I don't know. But just want to give a shout out to you, Miley. Happy birthday. So, gosh, after all these celebrations, I kind of forgot what I was talking about. That's right. Come back. Come back. Come back. The talk title for today is Come Back. Right? And it comes from my buddy in college. He had this Zen koan framed in his room. He took it everywhere he went. And the koan simply says, when you lose your mind, come back. And like every koan, right? Like, it didn't make sense at first. I was like, I don't know what that means. It's weird. I don't understand that. And for you that aren't familiar with koans, it's these little statements that come out of the Zen Buddhist tradition. They're really meant to kind of wake us up, to bring a wakefulness to our mind without exactly telling us how to get there. I love how John Tarrant, a Zen practitioner and director of the Pacific Zen Institute, puts it. He says, a koan is a little healing story, a conversation, an image, a fragment of a song. It's something to keep you company, whatever you are doing. There's a tradition of koan to study and transform your heart in the way you move through the world. Koans don't really explain things. Instead, they show you something by opening a gate You walk through and you take a ride. So it's like those earworms, it's those lyrics, it's that line of a poem, right, that you may not totally get at first, but somehow sticks with you. And for me, that line of when you lose your mind, come back, has always stayed with me. And it wasn't until I started actually studying Buddhism and practicing meditation that the meaning of this koan really came to me. When I was in India and I was, receiving this meditation instruction, and I've received different kinds of meditation instruction throughout my life, but the general kind of sense of most meditation, right, is something like this, get into a position where you're holding yourself with a sense of dignity, where you're feeling just proud to be who you are and inhabiting your body. That's why we sit up and why we have good posture. It also helps us sit for longer periods of time. And naturally, eventually, we might notice ourselves slouching, right? Especially me, I have horrible posture. And when you notice that, simply come back into the dignity and worth of who you are and come back into the sitting position. And they also described how to work with your mind, right? This one Tibetan monk, he described the human mind as a drunk and wild elephant being driven by a drunk and wild monkey. And after you start sitting with your own mind for long enough, you're like, yeah, it checks out. That's about right. That's how it feels in my brain right now. And the instruction was okay, this is the nature of your mind. Eventually it will wander off as drunk and wild elephants that are being driven by drunk and wild monkeys do. It will do that. And when you notice it's gone into some anxiety about the future, when you notice it's gone to some regret about the past, when you notice it's gone into some to-do list or some mind trip you're having about yourself or the world, whatever happens to be, just come back. Come back to the present moment. Come back to the breath. Come back home, right? And to this place that really feels like home. Simply come back. And that's the practice. That's it, right? That's all of meditation. That's how the Buddha became enlightened. He simply, for enough times, just came back, right? And I can remember witnessing my mind for the first time and feeling so liberated by it, by this practice, because I felt there's been so many times when we go into these mind trips and they start, stacking up, one thought leads to another thought, leads to another thought. And that inner critic, guys, what I'm talking about, that inner critic just starts getting louder and louder and louder. Sometimes we have a committee of folks in our mind. It could be more than one person. My buddy described it as the itty bitty shitty committee. It's a trip to be human. And yet, we can realize that that's going on. I can remember feeling less just taken by those voices when I started this practice. I realized that those were just mind trips, that they weren't the truth of who I was. And I could always come back to that truth. I could always come back to the present moment. I could always come back to that natural state that I think we are all meant to live in. This place that feels like home, right? And I love what Reverend Shannon talked about last week, right? When she was talking about decluttering the mind, right? Feng shuiing your brain and how we do that. And I love the word she used. She says, we need consistent, gentle, curious, and compassionate self-inquiry, right? Consistent, gentle, curious, and compassionate self-inquiry. And I love the question she has to ask herself. She's like, when you're tripping, when you find yourself that you're just out wandering in the desert of your mind, when that elephant has taken you on this journey to where you don't want to go probably, simply ask is this thing true? Is this statement true about me? And if it's not, take a breath, come back to the breath, and bless it on its way. I love that. It's just I see you. I recognize you, little committee, little inner critic. I see you. I'm going to have to ask you to go now. Deuces. Or blessings. I'm going to start saying blessings. I'm going to say goodbye now. Bless it on its way, right? It's a simple practice, but I realize it takes practice, right? It's not the easiest thing to do, right? Like when I first started to meditate, and still, to be honest, like I still struggle to this day, right? Especially like if I have a lot of things going on. Recently, my meditation practice has been all over the place. I got a lot of things going on in my life right now, but like what I realized is like when I started first meditating, I thought I was doing it wrong because I was having to like come back to the breath like every other second. Right? Like I could not be present. And still, when I have a lot of things going on in my life, it's really hard to do, right? Like I'll just like give you guys like a peek into like my inner world sometimes. Like we're saying like, all right, come back to the breath. Oh, like I have to go do that thing. I got to remember to check this thing off the list and so many other things to do. Oh, there's like a sale going on. If I miss that sale, I know I'm going to miss out. I don't want to spend that much money on that thing, but I need it. Come back to the breath. All right, come back. I cannot believe what that girl posted on my wall. The nerve. I got to come up with a good comeback, but come back. Yes. Come back. I got to respond to that text. They're going to think I'm a flake. Maybe mom was right. Maybe all those people have been right about me. I'm just horrible at... Come back. Cookies. Come back. I mean, that's what it's like. This is what it's like. This is how crazy our brains are, right? And when I realized, right, like it doesn't matter. And one of my teachers told me, like, it doesn't matter whether you come back 1 or 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make you a better meditator. It doesn't make you more enlightened if you only have to come back once during a session. Like, ooh, he was kind of like big deal, you know? This is about the practice. And I love that we use the word spiritual practice because I think it reminds us that we're not supposed to be perfect. That the whole point of spiritual practice, of what I would say even this thing called life, right, is that we practice these things enough to where over time I'm a person that believes in incremental change, right? Like we make these small little changes in our life. We make these small little things. We dedicate this specific small amount of time to spiritual practice every day. And then out of nowhere, right, we just notice ourselves a little bit different, a little more sane, a little more kind, a little more present, a little more human. And eventually, right, when we begin to come back enough, I think we begin to buy into the truth and the spiritual truth of who we are more than that little committee, more than that inner critic, that voice of what feels like, to me, like the voice of the divine. And that's just a word that we put on it. It's our deepest wisdom. It's that still small voice. It's that place that like knows who we are. It's continually reminding us of that, continually trying to get our attention to come back to it, right? It's just like letting us know how loved we are, letting us know that like we are greater than our biggest achievement or our worst failure. That our beauty is so much deeper than any standard that has been made up by society, that we're pure love, and that we are continually being loved by all that is, by all of creation. And perhaps, you know, our whole journey on this planet is to come back home into the awareness of that, right? And so it doesn't matter if we have to do this 1 or 1 million times in any given day. That the practice is that we begin to buy into that truer truth about ourselves. And eventually, I think we begin to let go of the things that someone else has given to us, some story about ourselves that someone else may have made up, some aspect of ourselves that we may not have fully fallen in love with yet. Just all the untruths that seem to wander into our lives, that eventually, over time, right, we notice ourselves buying into the truest truth of who we are, right? And that, to me, is what this thing called life is all about. Pema Chodron, are people familiar with Pema? She's a Buddhist practitioner in the Shambhala tradition. And one of my favorite books she has is called The Wisdom of No Escape, and it's just a series of talks that she gave over a month-long retreat to some of her students. And she talks about this process. She says, Suzuki Roshi says that meditation and the whole process of finding your own true nature is one of continuous mistake. And that rather than that being a reason for depression or discouragement, it's actually the motivation. Like when you find yourself slumping, that's the motivation to sit up. Not out of self-denigration, but actually out of pride in everything that occurs to you. Pride in who you are, just as you. Pride in the goodness or the fairness or the worstness of yourself, however you find yourself. Some sort of sense of taking pride and using it to spur you on, right? Oh, it's also Pride Month. I forgot to mention Pride. So many celebrations this month. And I feel that, has anyone participated in Pride? Has anyone gone? I know we didn't, I don't know if Pride happened this year, but I encourage every person here and every person that's watching to go and just spend some time in the energy of Pride. Because they have been modeling and teaching the whole world about this for years. About taking pride in who we are. Taking pride in who we love. Taking pride in every aspect of our being and doing it without apology. Without apology, right? And that's the essence of coming back, right? Because I think ultimately what we find is what we're coming back to is our most authentic self. What we're coming back to is a person that, like, we can take pride in who we are and how we're choosing to live this life. How we're being with other people, how we're walking through the world. We can begin to take pride in that. And when we forget, when we go off in some distraction, like a wild and drunk elephant would take us there, if we're not paying attention, it is good to know. It is comforting, at least for me, to know that I can always come back. I can always come back. We can always do it. And here's the thing, we can do this individually, right? We like to talk about spiritual lives, I think, in this tradition a lot individually, but we can also do this collectively, right? I think as a nation, man, we are learning how to do this very, very deeply right now. Because let's be real. When the Founding Fathers wrote those beautiful words, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. At the time that this was written, as I mentioned before, hundreds of thousands of descendants from the continent of Africa were still enslaved. Women wouldn't gain their right to vote until 150 years after that. At the time George Washington was elected president, did you guys know this? 6% of the population was even eligible to vote. Even eligible when George Washington was elected president. You know, this is a country that interred family members of mine, threw them in camps, and that banned Asian immigration, period, from 1882 to 1965. There are many times that this country has missed the mark on this thing called life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? However, I think the reason why Juneteenth is a gesture, but how it can spur something more deeply, is because I believe every generation has the opportunity, if they so choose, to come back to this principle of liberty and to define it in a way that is meeting the needs of the current time, to understand it in a way that perhaps the former generation was unable to understand, to actualize it in a way perhaps that the former generation was not able to actualize fully. And to know that we are still standing on the shoulders who came before to help us get to where we are now. And, we got more work to do. It doesn't make us bad as a country. I love being American. I'm a 5th generation Japanese American. I'm more American than Japanese, let's be real about that. I've never been to Japan. I don't speak the language. People think I do sometimes, though. That's a whole nother talk or subject. I love being a part of this country. And I think a part of what it means to be American is to hold ourselves to these principles that on their own, granted, have not been fully actualized, but that there's something about being American that kind of calls us to be a part of actualizing it a little bit more. It's a healing process that gets to happen in that too, for all of those who weren't included in the last iteration of whatever that was. And when we're talking about the principle of liberty, that's what we're talking about right now. And so it is an amazing time to be alive, because I think we're on this evolutionary spiral as a people, and I think we come around to these themes in very, exciting times. Listen, the 60s were incredible. And the 60s created a lot of social advancement and social change, right? But as we know, as we move forward, right? As we take 2 steps forward, sometimes it could feel like then we're taking 1 step back. But it doesn't matter, right? I think the message is that we always come back. That we come back to our breath when we are feeling like we are lost in the wilderness. We come back to the truth of who we are. That when we are seeing crazy injustice happen in our country, we come back to that principle of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and know that can guide us and inspire us and stand for those very principles for everybody. That we can see things that are not in alignment with who we know we can be, both individually and collectively, and we come back to that truth. We come back to what's possible. We come back to who we are and who I believe who we are meant to be. So I want to close with some words by some amazing ministers in our tradition, right? Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson and Reverend Andrea Earl. Raymond is on the East Coast in Baltimore, and Andrea is in the East Bay area. They wrote an article in this month's magazine, which is amazing, by the way. Rebecca also has an article in this month's magazine. So it's the title of this article is called Juneteenth 2021, A Call to Freedom. This is what they say. Our social, economic, and political systems as they are today will be perpetuated for as long as we allow systemic offenses against our fellow humans, whether through our lack of consciousness, fear of scarcity, addiction to power, support of businesses aligned to the school to prison pipeline, and the many abuses of unequal treatment. This Juneteenth, we must release all pretense and embrace the principle of freedom. Juneteenth, 2021, is the passing of the torch, the illumination of our aspirational potential and the infinite possibilities available to us. It is our realization of the importance of excavating our unique and complex story and sharing our authentic and perplexing history boldly and transparently. So what is there to celebrate? Juneteenth 2021 can be our empowered acknowledgement and celebration of our ever-expanding awareness of freedom as a spiritual principle. This year, we can design our celebrations to assist us in clarifying our personal intention and to renew our commitment to liberty and justice for all. Our philosophy honors freedom as divine principle, a God-given right for all of us. So as we take this into prayer and contemplation, we just come into this knowing and this deep feeling of all of the ways in which this principle of freedom, in which this evolution of love, in which this thing called life is unfolding within us and around us and between us. We allow this love to bring us closer to the truth each and every time we just come back to it. That we come back to the breath. When we have lost our way, we come back to the truth of who we are when we have bought into someone else's story. That we come back to a principle of life when we are witnessing that there is something different than that going on in the world. We simply come back and know that in coming back, we are coming back home. We're coming back to the place that we were meant to be. We're coming back to the truest truth of life itself. And so we know too that it's easy. It's simple, and that we are continually being called back there for a reason. And so we surrender. We allow the natural gravitational pull of home to bring us to this space where we remember who we are and where we ignite the potential of who we can be, how good it is to be present to that, to be aware of the ways in which you're being called back home in every moment and every day. So I know each person here, as we go forth from this time, not only feels that call and hears that call, but comes back with ease and with grace. I know that love ignites this. I know that peace surrounds this. I know that light infuses every step of the way. And so there's nothing but gratitude that can come forth. We give grateful to be alive at this particular time. We're grateful for this ability to come back. We are grateful for all the ways in which we awake to this presence and awake to this time. And so with that, we just let it be. And we let it become. And we let it be so. And so it is.
Can we thank Reverend Masando? Thank you so much. I feel so centered and calm in my body. That was so wonderful. Thank you, Rev Masando. Hey, y'all, this is our time for conscious giving. And so, Reverend Shannon mentioned last week, she has her giving set up on auto pay. And so she gets one of these little cards, and she likes to put that in our tithing buckets. You know, for me personally, I love the text to give. Every time I get a paycheck, I open up my phone. I tithing, saving, and investing right there on my phone. It's one of my favorite parts of my month. So however you choose to give, I want you to know that we are so grateful for your gift. If you're here in the space, there are some little buckets you can put your gift in. Please feel free to drop that in. If you're online, you can give by texting to give at 503-966-3236 or go to our website, newthoughtcsl.org/give for all the information. But we're so grateful for all that y'all do to make all of this possible. So thank you. Let's speak our offertory blessing. For those of you at home or those of you who can't see the screen, it's on the song page on our website. So take a breath and say with me, from the love of pure spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me multiplied abundantly. All right, y'all get ready to shoot right out your seats because we have Arietta Ward bringing it to us.
Hey, oh, hey, yes. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Putting it on a chain, putting it around my neck. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car. Wherever I choose to go, it will take me far. I'm living my life like it's golden, 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 golden, living my life like it's 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 golden, golden. I'm taking my freedom, on me. I was born into it. It comes naturally. Strumming my freedom, claim the God in me, representing His glory. Hope in front of me. I'm living my life, living my life every day, everywhere. Living my life like the Lord is golden, 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 yes, yes, yes. Living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Living my life like it's golden, 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 golden.
Living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Living my life like it's golden, 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 golden.
Thank you for having me here.
Hey, am I there? There I am. Arietta Ward, my God, my God. Hey, y'all can find her music by searching Arietta Ward Music. And the first thing that comes up is Ms. Etta's World. And it's a great site. I've been on it twice this week. I love you so much, and we're so grateful that you are here. Hey, I have just a few quick announcements for you. Reminder, we have guided meditation on Wednesday night at 6:30. That is an online event. You can find the Zoom link for it on our calendar on our website. Quick reminder that community Zoom chat is on hiatus for the summer, so please don't log into that. I will not be there. Also, hey, our Empowered Living group started this month, and it has been, from what I hear, a beautiful experience. This is our new thought-based group that is dedicated to supporting those of us who are experiencing numbing or addictive behaviors of any kind. And this is a way to get spiritual support in community for anything that you're ready to let go of. So it's a beautiful thing. All the information for that's on our site too. Listen, our annual business meeting is next Sunday, the 27th at 1 p.m. If you are a member of this community, you are invited to attend that meeting. It will be hybrid, so we'll be both in person and online. So if you're planning on being here that day, I invite you to bring a lunch, bring a snack, and come ready to stay until about 2:30 to find out what's going on in our community. Where are we going, and how are we going to get there? It's actually going to be a really cool meeting. I really hope y'all come. And finally, I want to let you know that our Caring Corner Food Pantry is going to be open Monday the 27th and Tuesday the 28th from 11 to 3. Hey, y'all, spread the word. There's still a lot of hurting people out there, and we're here to help. And so make sure that your circle is aware that we have this available to help. All right. Hey, Rev Masando, would you join me back up here? Sarah, come on back. Hey, parents, you can pick up your kids at the Children's Pavilion. I'm just going to put this here so it doesn't float away. Y'all pick up your kids at the Children's Pavilion in the back area here, and we will have practitioners available for prayer in our prayer tent, which is back here by the back gate. And you can help out. Our beautiful men's ministry has been our chair facilitators for this whole summer, and you can help us out by helping us to stack chairs at the end here. All right. Are we all here? And so our final closing. May you go in the light, as the light, and with the light until we meet again. May the longtime sun shine upon us, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on your way. Hey, Rev Masando and I will be available to meet and greet over here under this tent. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week.
I release,